Empires are not held together by kindness. They are built on fear, blood, and punishment. And when it came to punishing criminals, traitors, and enemies, few societies could match the sheer cruelty and imagination of the Romans. They didn't just kill someone, their methods were way more complex. They were designed to terrify the public, to leave behind a spectacle so brutal that no one would dare defy the power of Rome. Sure, there were the simple executions, a beheading with an axe or being thrown from the infamous Tarpeian Rock, a steep cliff in Rome where traitors were hurled to their deaths. But those methods were far too quick, far too merciful. When the Romans wanted to send a message, they turned to punishments that went beyond death, punishments that turned execution into slow torture, humiliation, and unforgettable theater. The most notorious of all was crucifixion. Although Rome didn't invent it, they perfected it, reserved mostly for slaves, foreigners, and disgraced soldiers. Crucifixion was meant to be the ultimate symbol of Rome's dominance. Victims were whipped, beaten, and forced to carry the heavy wooden crossbeam through the streets, shamed before the crowd. Once at the place of death, their arms were nailed or tied to the wood, their feet fixed in place, and the cross was raised high for everyone to see. Death did not come quickly. Crucifixion was a painful and terrifying experience to see. Victims suffered blood loss, dehydration, and shock, struggling to breathe as their lungs collapsed under the weight of their own bodies. Some lasted only hours, while others hung on in torment for days. If executioners grew impatient, they shattered the victims' legs so they could no longer push up to breathe, causing suffocation in minutes. Even after death, the body was often left to rot on the cross as a warning to anyone foolish enough to challenge Rome. But crucifixion wasn't Rome's only spectacle. Inside the great amphitheaters, the crowds demanded something more immediate, more savage. This was the damnatio ad bestias, condemnation to the beasts. The criminal was thrown into the arena, surrounded by thousands of screaming spectators, and then wild animals, lions, leopards, bears, even crocodiles were released to tear them apart. Sometimes the condemned were given a weapon, a false hope of survival. Other times, they were chained, defenseless, left only to scream as the beast stripped them limb from limb. To make the spectacle even more theatrical, organizers staged mythological reenactments. A prisoner might play the role of a doomed hero in a tragic story, only for the scripted death to become a very real one when the animals were set loose. It wasn't just punishment, it was entertainment. And if you thought this was the worst Rome could invent, think again. For the crime considered most unnatural, parricide, the Romans came up with a really twisted punishment called the sack. They tie a condemned criminal inside a leather sack, and then alongside him were placed live animals, usually a dog, a monkey, a rooster, and a snake. Once sealed inside, the man was thrown into a river. The terrified animals clawed and bit at him. In a panic, a punishment so deranged it seems like something from a nightmare, but for Rome, it was reality. These terrifying methods weren't just about removing criminals. They were psychological warfare. Every execution was a reminder to the masses that Rome's power was absolute, and disobedience would be crushed with merciless creativity. The Romans ruled over a quarter of the world's population at their height, and they didn't just rely on armies or politics to hold their empire together. They ruled through fear, spectacle, and punishments so gruesome they still shock us nearly 2,000 years later. And these were just a few of their methods. If you found this peek into the creepy side of Roman punishment both fascinating and chilling, hit that subscribe button for more from Medieval Dreams. More twisted stories of history's brutality are waiting for you. Don't miss the next one.